Thank you for coming in, and I'm very sorry for your loss. How did you meet Debbie?
So I suppose it goes right back to I used to be a TV presenter. I was on one of those late night shows doing quizzes, you know, guess the prize or guess the puzzle, that kind of thing. And Debbie at the time was a support worker for the company on the phone lines, and she wanted to get into doing the same thing. So I was on MySpace. She Googled my name, found my name, and then approached me that way, and then sort of messaged each other on MySpace. Started talking, and that was it.
And so, so you started messaging. You got together. Eventually, you moved in. You moved in with her parents, did you?
That's right. Yeah. So I was living in Leeds at the time. Debbie came up to live with me, and then we decided to move back down to Bournemouth, where her parents were, and moved in with her parents. Yeah.
And then you had your daughter.
That's right. Yes.
And she, I think she's now 8 years old.
She's 9.
No, she's 9 now.
Yeah.
So all things lovely, lovely family, and there were no issues in the marriage. You loved each other very much, very close.
Much, yeah.
And she'd been battling with cancer for a long time.
That's right. Yes.
And then gradually it got to the stage where it was how serious?
Very serious. I mean, for 8 years we were fighting it in and out of hospital. I think that she had a mastectomy in about 2010, the removal of the breast and replacing fixing a new breast with tissue from the stomach, and then it went on to becoming more aggressive. It then spread to the kidney, to the liver, and then she had a collapsed lung, and the lung filled with fluid. And that's when they discovered more cancer on the lung, pockets of it. So she continued on treatment. So it was in and out of hospital with tests and more tests, and and treatments.
Oh, you were a friend. You came in as a friend.
Yes, and I met Paul and Debbie through business.
Yeah.
And hit it off with Debbie straight away because we were just very similar characters and we were both quite spiritual. And I'd previously had breast cancer as well, so we had kind of that in common as well.
And you were close right up until the very end.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Did she ever say anything to you about moving on?
It didn't appear to be that way. What she did say to me was, when I visited her in the hospice, I was just sat with her one day and she said to me, will you promise me that you'll look after Jasmine and Paul? And I kind of already was, because Jasmine was staying at my house while the family were visiting her, and they had been spending an awful lot of time at my house previous to that, before she went into the hospice. So even when I wasn't there, they were around there. So I just said, yes, of course I will, thinking, well, I'm doing that anyway.
Do you think she meant this?
Well, she said, no, I want you to promise me you'll look after them. And it felt quite uncomfortable, her saying that to me. And I said, yes, of course I will. And I thought, I'm not going to say anything to Paul, because that's weird. It just seemed weird to me. I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah, I didn't know anything till way after.
And it was only when we'd gone round to see his family and his cousin, Sophie, said to Paul, that Debbie had told her what she'd said to me, and that's how it came out.
Right. So you sort of see that as Debbie's blessing of your...
Well, I hope so. I'd like to think so. I mean, it was natural for me. It was a natural progression for me to carry on looking after them. I knew Jasmine so well, and so did my kids.
There was nothing between the two of you other than the friendship of going through such an appalling time for you and for Debbie.
As a group, we were really good friends. And Paul and I, it was like brother and sister kind of friendship.
So then this horrible day comes. Jasmine loses her mum, you lose your wife, you lose a friend, and so. And up until this point, I think sort of most people will be absolutely with you here.
Yeah.
And then finding love after, most people go with that as well. And then you look at how long it took, and that's where it seems such a shock. 2 weeks.
It's you can't put a time on grief. I mean, I would like to say that I was going through the whole grieving period for the whole 8 years.
Whilst Debbie
was battling it, and so my grieving period was during then, and on the day that she died, it hit me quite hard, like a train, really. But grief comes in the 5 different stages. You have there's some real negative stuff in there, mentally, physically, depression, anxiety, denial, bargaining, all that kind of stuff. And I think I had to recognise those things, and so to help myself get through that situation, I was filming myself to put on Facebook to tell family and friends what was going on, because you can imagine on Facebook, you know, so many people were asking, how are you, what's going on? And I couldn't answer every single message. So I filmed myself and I posted a video every day, keeping people up to date. And that was my way of venting and getting my grief out there.
But you're still living with her parents. And then Jasmine, you know, obviously is coping with all of that. You guys say that you ended up comforting each other, and then it sort of rapidly grew.
You know, we did fall in love, but we didn't do anything about it straight away.
No.
It wasn't something that we suddenly decided, right, we're together. It wasn't like that.
How long before everybody else knew?
It was about 5 months.
5 months. We wanted to make sure that we were doing it the right thing. I mean, the most important thing for our happiness was that, you know, the kids knew, people close to us. So my parents, Debbie's parents knew, but we wanted to make sure that the right people knew and that we kept it close until we were ready to announce.
So that was at 5 months, or how soon after was that?
How?
Sorry, the people that were close
when did they know?
to you, when did that, was that at 5 months?
Probably a little bit earlier than that.
Oh, it was a lot earlier than that. Yeah,
Right.
sorry, it was at least a couple of months after then. But we announced to everyone else that we were, you know.
What was their reaction? What did her family feel?
There was a bit of a backlash. There were, you know, 1 or 2 individuals that weren't happy about that. Her father, obviously. I mean, you know, I don't take that away from him. You know, he's a very nice guy, and we did get on. But I think that, you know, we did clash now and then, and he had negative feelings about me. He assumed that me and Wendy were.
He was angry as well because his daughter had gone and you were still here, living your life. And there is a certain amount of anger involved with grief that is natural. You know,
is it? I mean, I think a lot of people watching would think, we get this. You know, you're finding comfort in each other. You've also lost someone very important. Why didn't you just wait to sort of announce it? Why didn't you keep it under the radar? Why didn't you see each other for, I don't know, 6 months, a year, and then allow it to happen sort of organically?
I think the trouble is, well, it did happen organically, albeit in, you know, 5 or 6 months. But we had children to consider. We were becoming a family. And because Paul had problems with where he was living, he moved in. I said, look, move into my house. It's fine, because I had plenty of room. And Jasmine was used to being there, and she knew my kids. So it was a natural thing for them to do. And we were gradually becoming a family with all the kids.